I personally believe that every woman who competes in the Miss America organization has a duty to reimagine what it means to be Miss America in this day and age. Whether that is highlighting that Miss America can have a different cultural background, or can speak a different language, or practice a different religion. It can be a number of things, but I think Miss America really needs to be as dynamic and as diverse as the women that she claims to represent. So I was born in Mumbai, India, and both sides of my family are Marathi. And what I think a lot of people don't realize about India is how diverse it is as a country. I mean, everyone in India identifies as an Indian, but depending on what part of India you are from, that could mean a different religion, a different language, completely different way of dressing, different cuisine. So it's an extremely diverse country. My parents and I immigrated to the United States when I was about 2.5 years old, and that has influenced absolutely every part of my life. I mean, just thinking about when I was younger, I remember being so sad during holidays because everyone else was gathering with their families, and my family was across the world, and I never was able to have those joyous moments with them in the same way, and that was always really sad to me. And I was the kid who would bring weird food to lunch because my mom only knew how to make Indian food, and sometimes I would get made fun of for it. And, we would speak a different language out when we were shopping, and we'd get weird looks. And, just every part of my life is colored by the fact that I'm an immigrant. And I mean, I wouldn't have it any other way because I love my Indian culture, and I love my family, and I wouldn't trade anything for that. But it has been hard navigating, how to be fully American and fully accepted by my community, but still being true to my origins and the culture that my family has practiced for many, many, many generations. And one way that I've incorporated my culture into my life is actually through competing. I have this last year when I won Miss Oregon, I competed in the talent phase of competition in an Indian gown, and that was a really special moment for me and for my family, and I guess really symbolic of what the job of Miss Oregon meant to me. I think one of the best things about competing in the Miss America organization is that it is truly a journey of self-discovery, especially if you start as a teen. I mean, there's just so much growth and self-acceptance that happens along the way. And for me, that journey has really been about accepting who I am in terms of my sort of dual cultural identity. Because growing up, especially after 9/11, it became very difficult to be someone who looks like me, who has a strange name, who isn't Christian. And I was very aware of that, and I did my very best, I guess, for many years to sort of suppress those aspects of who I am. And through competing, I finally found the courage to be unapologetically myself and to really be proud of both representing both cultures, the Indian culture and American culture. It was my second year competing for Miss Oregon, and I had recently gone to India, and my aunt had given me this gorgeous red gown, and I knew going into that competition year that I wanted to incorporate that gown in some way. And at first I thought, maybe I'll wear it for an evening gown, and ultimately I decided that I would use it as my talent gown. And my talent is singing, and I sang Reflection from the movie Mulan, which is really the perfect song to describe the emotions I was going through with regards to coming to terms with who I am and learning to be unapologetic about that in a world where it is sometimes criticized. And I ended up placing first runner-up to Miss Oregon that year. And shortly after, I heard rumors that there were some people who felt I only did as well as I did because I played the diversity card, or because I overemphasized my culture. And that was really hard to hear. I mean, if you look at it from my perspective, I'd finally, after years and years and years, reached this point where I, wanted to show appreciation for my family and my culture, and to have it be cheapened as just like a tactic to win was, I mean, it really hurt. And I'm not someone who puts a lot of energy in pursuing rumors or things like that, but I actually did confront the person who, said this, because I wanted them to understand how it was hurtful. And, I won't lie that being a person of color in a state where there are not many people of color, especially on the Miss Oregon stage, where it's like, I mean, the top 5 photo from that year is kind of funny because it's like, it's me and then there's 4 Caucasian blondes. So I'm not going to deny that being a woman of color and having this cultural identity sets me apart, especially in the pageant world. It is something that's different about me, and just on stage, like, I will stand out because I don't look like everyone else. And in this case, like, maybe it is a benefit. But when you say things like that, you are ignoring all of the times that it hasn't been. When you get pulled over more often, when you get weird looks at the airport, when you are speaking a different language in public and you get dirty looks for it. When my mom, when she first came here, she would still wear Indian clothing, and she was told in public by people that she should start dressing like an American. Like, I remember those things, and you are ignoring all of the times that it hasn't been a benefit. And that's not fair, because unfortunately, I can tell you, and I think most people of color will be able to attest to this, it is more often a detriment than it is a benefit. It's hard to talk about and it's hard to think about, but I think that if you don't have these experiences, it's also hard to understand. And I do feel that I have an obligation to sort of, share my perspective and share these experiences, because if I don't, there's just, the misunderstandings will just be exacerbated and perpetuate. So I'm glad that I confronted her. I think she understood better why what she said was inappropriate. And I hope that she takes that with her, as I hope anyone watching this video, next time you think about saying that, think about the other side to it. This is a huge question. I mean, how do we eradicate racism and prejudice and discrimination? I really think it's through storytelling. I truly believe when you sit down with someone and tell them your story and you listen to theirs, there is this compassion that comes from our sense of humanity that is just inevitable and so much powerful than any of those other things. And unfortunately, despite the fact that we are more connected than ever, there is such a disconnect in the stories that are being told. And that's one of the reasons that I, wanted to be Miss Oregon, was so that I had this elevated platform from which to share my experiences as an immigrant and as a woman of color, and hopefully change people's perspectives on what those identities mean in America in 2020. And I mean, I really just hope that people understand that we are all just human beings. We all want the same things. We all want to be loved and accepted and to feel valued in our communities and by our peers. And that is true regardless of your religion, the color of your skin, your culture, any of those things. So I think it goes back to just storytelling. And I hope that every girl who competes in the Miss America organization feels empowered to share her story, whether that is one that is, mine has always been very culturally based, but, maybe that has to do with, growing up in poverty. Maybe that has to do with being a member of the LGBTQ plus community. Whatever it is, tell your story, have that courage, because when you do, you are making it easier for someone else with a similar story to tell theirs.